Trish,
Suzy.
and this is a podcast for Two Hags Chinwag, and we are going to be talking about the fair folk. So, what that means to us, how we work with them, how you find them, all the things. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a subject that I love, and I did try to do like some research, but I don't know about you, Trish, but I just would rather feel what I feel here than dive too deep into, you know, other cultures and their history, because really it's oral, right? Like
Uh-huh.
it's subject to reinterpretations.
Yeah.
And I do honor like the original writings and things like that. Like I definitely find validity in them. It's just I'd rather talk about, for me, what's here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm the same way. Because when you do dive too deep, I find that you get a lot of conflicting information,
Mm.
and it is, something that is a part of a lore of pretty much all cultures. That there are fair folk, there are we people, the little people, and they all have different descriptions and different stories behind them, different etiquette and how to deal with them. I find that when I listen to some podcasters talk about the Fae folk, especially the um, staunch Irish podcasters, witchy podcasters, they're like, don't even deal with them, But I disagree with that.
Mm. Me too. Yeah, because I've had people say, "Oh, you got to be careful when working with the Fae because they're tricksters, and they'll steal stuff and rearrange stuff on you. You won't be able to find." So it's kind of a joke with my girlfriends. Like when something goes missing, we're like, "Oh, the fairies were at it again." But I think that they can be that way, but
Yeah,
it's the same, Trish, as like when you have a mischievous pet,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And you have to learn how to deal with that and not say, oh, my pet is bad,
yeah,
I can't do anything, this cat won't listen to me or whatever. I think you get what you give, right?
yeah. I kind of like to call them the fair folk because for me it encompasses more than um, what most people think when you say fairy. A lot of people think fairies, with the wings and the cute little, dresses. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, so I like to say the fair folk because it encompasses a whole realm of otherworldly beings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to me, they come in good, bad, and indifferent. They come in tiny to tall, so that's, I've just taken the habit of saying the fair folk lately. So a little bit.
And you've got your jewelry on to represent.
Yeah, I have the goddess on a moon.
Oh, sorry, I thought those were wigs. Sorry.
No,
Okay,
but you're
gotcha.
you're not far
Okay.
from right. I have this. It's called a furga. It's a Norse um, guardian, and it,
Oh.
it has it's an owl
Oh,
uh,
that's
with
beautiful.
horns. Because I
Wow.
had an encounter with an owl last fall, and it just felt very much like for me.
Oh.
But I do have my fairy ring on.
Yes, gorgeous. Yeah.
So I was
Because the
like,
whimsical is fun too, right?
absolutely. And I believe that there are fairies like this. To me they're like the flower fairies.
Hmm.
Um, they're the little sprites that are in your garden or in the flowers, in the wildflowers. That's kind of
Hmm.
how I envision this type of fairy.
Hmm.
We already talked about how they exist in all cultures, um, but in that there's all different types, and there's probably all different tribes within the same types. It's like it's a whole world. full of um, beings that sometimes we see and sometimes we don't. And they can live in different areas. For me, they can live in our world, like the middle world, I guess is what our world is,
Mm-hmm.
but they can live in the underworld, the world above, like angels maybe, and they can live in another realm that's superimposed on top of us
Yes,
or
yes,
around us, or
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
like,
A different dimension.
yeah, a different
Yeah.
dimension.
And that's where portals come from.
Yeah.
I follow a guy on Facebook. Sorry, I can't remember his name, but he goes into the portals and he does it with such reverence, but also, a little bit of the whimsy too, which
Okay.
is and he's this great big guy with his great big beard. Like you wouldn't think, he's very Nordic looking. You wouldn't think that he'd be into the fairy world, but he's really super. I almost see him as one of them. Like he's kind of in between. It's
Yes.
really gives me the chills when
Yeah.
I watch him. Yeah.
Yeah. I do believe that there are people that can definitely go in and out easier than others.
Yeah.
And I think it's just practice, really, and you really have to set aside your skepticism and your logic
Open
sometimes.
mind and open heart.
Yeah.
Really, that's the key, right, to
Yeah.
seeing into other worlds.
Yeah.
But you have to keep rooted too,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So I was really curious about sort of the history here because I'm really big into working with the local land spirits, like you said, what's here.
What's here? And
Yeah.
I just want to tell everybody where we are because this is a different setting.
Yes.
In case you can't see, we're in Trisha's gazebo in her beautiful yard and got sunflowers. And look, she's got her cauldron. This is such a beautiful space. I'm just like freaking out right now.
Oh,
So
thank
nice.
you. Thanks. And also I thought, oh, this is great to be in the gazebo because I always consider the perimeter, and you can see it here, the perimeter of the yard part of the property to be the hedge. And if you're like a hedge witch, you understand what the hedge means. And I feel like my paths into the fairy wood, because I have my woods that I call the fairy wood, and I have a fairy circle within the fairy woods. To me, they're like the portals into the other world. And I have my hawthorn grove, which is like a sacred tree to the fair folk and all that stuff. So to me, this perimeter is the crossover dimension into that world.
Love it.
So maybe I know we keep saying we do a video together, but right now, I swear to God, the fairies are riding on the backs of mosquitoes.
It's very heavy and muggy. So, yeah,
Yeah,
it's definitely mosquito time.
yeah, it's big time mosquito. So I'll do a show and tell video, um, and at some point we'll definitely get together in the fall. It'll be better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, close to Samhain. Yeah.
yeah. So, so uh, the history here is the Mi'kmaq people did believe in the little people, and in one of the books that I was reading, they interviewed a Mi'kmaq leader from Member Two, and he said we say it from an eyewitness perspective because we live with them. And I thought that was
Hmm.
so cool. Like they don't they don't question it. And when they tell their stories of the little people, they tell it as if it's real. It's real, So because they see them, they work with them and they live with them. So I thought that was really really cool
Hmm.
when I read that. That's in this book here. That's the one you had asked about. Oh, there was another thing talking about how each culture has different stories. So you've heard that never accept food or drink from fairies. Yeah. So there's a story in Blue Nose Magic by Helen Creighton, And she talks about a story that was told to her about these two guys being, they were like lumberjacks, and they were in the woods in Cape Breton, and they were cutting down trees. And they kept hearing a little voice. Oh, yes, the little voice was, oh dear, my hedge is broken or something. And they're like, did you hear that? And anyway, so they kept cutting trees, and then they heard again, oh dear, my hedge is broken. So anyway, they just kept on going. And one guy said, oh gosh, I wish I had a cup of buttermilk. I don't know. I guess people drank buttermilk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but anyway, he said, I'm really thirsty. I wish I had a cup of buttermilk. So they keep cutting down trees, and then um, they saw a little fair folk, a little person come out, and he said, I brought you a cup of buttermilk. I heard you say you wanted buttermilk, so I brought you a cup of buttermilk. And one guy, uh, he said, no, thank you. Like, I, no. And the other guy's like, yeah, I'll take it. So he drank the buttermilk. And apparently, in this case, so if you see fairies in Nova Scotia, it's the opposite, because the guy who drank the buttermilk had good luck for the rest of his life. But the guy who
Oh.
refused it had bad luck.
Oh, because hospitality is very big in Cape Breton.
Yes, and also for the fairies.
Very interesting. So they're offering you something that was a big insult to say no. Wow.
Exactly.
I think, yeah, because in Irish culture, they're very wary of
Yeah.
the fair folk, and they're considered tricksters, and
Yeah.
they'll steal you away, and 100 years will pass,
Yeah.
and then of course the story of the changelings, which I find is
Yes.
really bizarre kind
Yeah.
of folklore. Like, so it was like a way to explain why your child was sick or why your
Yes.
child was deformed or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
was that the fairies came and took your healthy child and gave you this sick one
Yeah.
in return, and they would put it back in the woods.
Yeah. I know.
Bizarre,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, that's what happens with fear and superstition, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a healthy mix. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
So I'm glad we have good fairies here.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought that was a really cool, well, perspective, because you're always hearing about, don't take food from them, don't take drink, and because you'll disappear and you'll be enchanted. And
Yeah, I mean, I don't like fearful stories, but I'm very grateful to Helen Creighton for what she did to preserve a lot of,
yes.
maritime folklore and the stories that would have been lost because they were so oral, right? Like,
Yeah.
a lot of stuff wasn't written down. And I guess that's the thing I have with, all these books, as you said. I started looking at books, and I do have a couple, um, and it's just subjective, and it's people's
Mm-hmm.
reinterpretation, and it's people's opinions. I like people who have worked with
Yes.
the energies.
Yeah.
So I'm not just regurgitating something someone else wrote and putting my opinion on it,
Yeah.
like a writing your doctorate or something.
Yeah.
It's just all strictly research, which is great too. But I like, feeling the energy and working with it. So tell us a little bit about what you do here, if you don't mind.
Actually, I'm going to ask you first. Have you ever seen like a fairy or?
I have seen flickerings. So, like, you're not sure,
Mm-hmm.
things you see out of the corner of your eye, and then you try and rationalize it. It was a dragonfly, or it was just a piece of fluff from the sky. But I feel like they're in my yard.
Right. Yeah. And I do too. I feel like they're here. They're in the yard. There's different types. There's like, some in the yard part, and there's some in the fairy wood, but I have never seen them here. But this is going to be a really strange encounter, because it makes absolutely no sense. But back in the early 90s, when I lived out in on the way to Peggy's Cove in Brookside. I was at the Irving station, gas station. So I was at the gas station and I was filling up the car. And so I was just standing there filling up the car and I saw out of the corner of my eye a little person run in front of my car. And it was just me gassing up because it was early and he ran in front of the car. I was like, okay. And I look and I don't see anything like, but he was like, I guess you could almost describe him like a gnome or a brownie, like he was
Mm.
dressed all in brown. I saw that much. It was yeah. I
Mm.
was like, why at the gas station? Of all places, why would I see that at the gas station? And it wasn't an animal because I would have seen like him go past the car towards the actual gas station building. It
Mm.
just came and almost like disappeared in front of the car.
I would say that that person wanted you to see,
I guess.
because I think they don't often reveal themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and I respect that. But for whatever reason, that little person wanted you to see, and maybe that was just like a little, you know,
Yeah,
we're
and it
we're
was
out there.
it was in that house that I was. We had 3/4 of an acre there, and it had a little bit of trees, around the property. So me being me, I was always in the little bit of trees that I can find. So I was in there one day, and I saw um, like what I would consider like this kind of fairy. It's just small and had luminous blue, and it just sort of flew by my foot, and it was just so that for some reason that place was where that area was where I saw my only 2 times that I've seen them.
Mm.
And yeah, but here to me is more magical, and yet I haven't seen them. But for me, what I do here is I'll go in the woods, I go in the fairy circle, I go into my hawthorn grove, and I talk to them. I'll leave offerings. Like they like offerings. Maybe they just don't quite know how to read me yet. I've been here 3 years. You'd think they'd know by now, um, but I'll leave some offerings of like milk and honey or bread or flowers. So a lot of times I'll pick flowers here and bring them into the hawthorn grove or into the fairy circle and just leave them there. And but I just generally go in there and talk to them. And when I'm in there working in the woods, clearing the path and that kind of thing, I'm always talking to them and saying, I'm not here to destroy anything. I'm just clearing a path and I'm just making the woods a better place. What about you?
Yeah, much the same. I I talk to them. I don't tend to leave out as much offerings, only on certain occasions, because I have a lot of critters. But
Mm,
I consider the critters and the fae to be kind of hand in hand. Like
yes.
they live together. They understand
Yeah.
each other in the way that critters need to live together to survive. But I'll tell you a little story, and it's subjective. But so in my little gazebo in my backyard, there was a wasp nest built
Oh,
underneath my little table, and I like to live with creatures. So I said to the wasp, you know, I won't bother you if you don't bother me.
yeah.
No problem. So that was fine. They would come and go and never bothered me. But I know it kind of bothered Jamie a little bit, like, because he doesn't want me to get stung or whatever. But, that's just how I believe that if
Mm-hmm.
you don't bother them, I live, the spiders are welcome, everything's welcome. So I came out one morning and the wasp nest was on the ground over here.
Mm.
Like it looked like something just whacked it and
Okay.
just sheared it off, and it was down there. And I said, "Oh my gosh, like so sorry, like I don't know what happened." I
Yeah.
said, "Wasn't me." So, but it had been particularly windy, but it was underneath, so I don't know how the wind would have got it. Anyway, I looked over at my coal frame, which is a little garden bed that I have, and it had blown a little bit off kilter. So I went over to kind of shore that up a little bit, and I saw something shining in the dirt. I looked. I picked it up. It was a ring,
Oh,
and I looked at it, and I recognized it as a ring that I bought at the black market store in Halifax.
yeah.
I don't know when it went missing. I didn't miss it. I have so much costume jewelry. But the first thing that came into my mind was that the Fae was giving that back to me.
Yeah.
So then I thought, did they also move the wasp nest
Oh,
for me too?
yeah.
But it just seemed a little much that, it
Yeah.
was like way over
Yeah.
here and
Yeah.
it just looked like something. So anyway, I thanked them for the ring. I should have worn it today to show it, but it's not a fancy ring or anything. But I just thought that's so nice,
Yeah.
right? And that's how I think is that,
Yes.
you know, something so random,
Yeah.
like as to be in the dirt. So I must have been digging in my garden and it fell off,
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Or maybe they took it out of my bedroom, put it there for me to find later, a little game.
Yeah.
So I believe they play little games. I
Yes.
don't necessarily think that they're malicious.
Yeah.
It's just kind of little games, right, to get your attention
Yeah.
kind of thing. But
Yeah.
anyway, so
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
you can
No,
believe or not believe, whatever.
I believe.
Thank you.
I'm a believer.
Yay! That's why we're here together.
Yeah. I I will tell you a story about land spirits here, and one in particular. Um, and it was probably February. Yeah, I would say February, March. There was one night I was having a fitful sleep, and it was because every time I woke up, my brain was immediately on that cherry tree that's over there. I'll take a picture and insert it. So that cherry tree right there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's gnarly. Yeah, wow. Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a nice one. Yeah.
Yeah. She's a very old tree.
Yeah.
And in that hole, I have two chipmunks that live in there, and we name them Chip and Dale. They're there every year. Yeah, yeah, and they're so cute because
Oh, I love chipmunks.
they chase each other around the yard, and they're not afraid of us because they know we won't hurt them. And anyway, but they live in the cherry tree. But so this one night, I kept waking up, and my brain went immediately to the cherry tree, and I was like, okay, weird. And then I'd fall back to sleep. And this happened probably 5 times that night. And then, so the last time I was like, okay, I call her the grandmother cherry tree. I call her
Oh.
grandmother tree. So I
Oh.
said, okay, grandmother tree, what are you trying to tell me? Like,
Hmm.
I don't know why I'm just feeling this call to this cherry tree. And, and I've always loved this tree because it in the spring has beautiful white blooms, and she's old, and she hasn't produced good cherries since we moved in here. So anyway, but I didn't get an answer back. I was just like, "What are you trying to tell me, grandmother tree?" And I didn't get an answer back. So I just kind of forgot about it. And then Katie and I were having discussion about where to put this gazebo, um, because he, Katie loves it where the cherry tree is, because the view of the setting sun over our neighbor's field is gorgeous. It's just like beautiful colors, orange and reds, and it's just such a pastoral scene that she loves it up there. But in order to fit this, we'd have to cut down the cherry tree. Yeah.
No.
right? So Katie was like, well, the tree is really old and you can tell that it's rotting because the chipmunks live in it. So there's the core of the tree is rotting. And I said, Katie, I can't do it. I can't cut that tree down. I love it too much. And also, I don't think it's a good place to put the gazebo because the road's right
Yeah.
there and it kicks up dust and, you
Yeah.
know. So, and she wasn't keen on putting it here because you're looking at the back of the house, whatever. But now that it's here, she loves it. So, anyway, I was like, Katie, I cannot cut that tree down. I said, I love that tree. I can't explain why I love that tree so much, but I do. And she's like, yeah, I get it. You're right. But we did have to trim a lot of branches because they were going into the road, sagging into the road. So we were like, okay, that's fine. We'll build it here, even though it's more complicated because it's on a slope. So we really had to do a lot of finagling for that. So I was in the yard just kind of doing my garden work and stuff. And I look at the cherry tree because I always kind of talk to her. I always put my hands on her because I
Mm.
just have a connection.
Mm.
And and I look up, and the tree is full of cherries, like full. And she's had cherries before, but they were never good. Like they would get
Mm.
to a point and then rot. But these cherries were big, juicy cherries, and
Mm.
I mean, it was like red jewels
Mm.
dripping from this tree. So I went out and I tried a few, and I was like, oh my God, these are like the best cherries I've ever had. So I picked as much as I could, but because she's old and tall, I couldn't reach most of them. But I have like a bunch of bags of cherries in the freezer downstairs in the basement. And she just produced like
Mm.
crazy this year. And I thought, like, she was telling me that night.
Ah,
Do you know what I mean? Like she was telling me that night that she's old, but she's still producing. She's still beautiful. Sorry. She's still valid. She 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 gifted, in my opinion, she gifted us for A, honoring her, and B, like, well, not killing her basically. so so yeah, so I told Katie, I said, I am not cutting that tree down until she's like not leafing
she'll
out.
let you know.
Yeah, she'll let me know when she's
Yeah.
ready.
But that's a metaphor because, you know, we're all feeling older, maybe
Yeah.
not Katie, but but you and I.
Yeah.
And, you know, we still have life left in us and we still have, you know, gifts to give.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that symbiotic relationship to me is just so beautiful when you recognize it. Like there's magic and beauty all around.
Yeah.
We need to take the time and recognize that. And it makes my heart hurt that there's so many people who can't or won't
Yeah.
see it,
Yeah.
right? I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But that story, bah, I got to take a moment. I love
Yeah.
that story. Well, I mean, we both love trees, so
Yes.
I can definitely
Yeah.
relate to that. But
So when we're done, you can
I
go say
will.
hi to
I
grandmother tree,
will.
and to the
Definitely.
left where the the clothesline is a massive oak tree, and I call him, um, like he's like the king. He's the king oak.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love
So to me, he's like the protector of the property, and she's like the queen. So I have the king and queen there.
it. Wow.
And to me, you hear about dryads, which are the tree spirits, and that's what I feel all trees have. They all are dryads, and they all have a spirit. You
Well,
know,
that's where the knock on wood superstition comes from.
Okay.
Is you knock on the wood to ask the dryad for their blessing. So,
Oh,
so when when we say that,
yeah,
oh, I hope I don't get cancer, knock on wood.
yeah.
That's our way of kind of negating the negative and asking for the blessing. That's where it comes from, was knocking on.
I did not know that. I just
Yeah,
always said it without even knowing.
I know there's so many. I love to know where expressions
Yeah,
come
no,
from.
that's a
That's
good.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
a
thanks for
curiosity
saying
of
that.
mine. Yeah,
Oh, I love
so
that.
it's you knock on the tree
Yeah,
to ask for the blessing and to negate the negative.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
But
I,
it's interesting to me that you have the different energies, right? So you've got your king oak and your grandmother tree, but
yeah,
yet in further in the woods,
yeah,
that's where you have more of the feral kind of
yes,
juicy, right? So you've got
yeah,
like the different kind of energy with your fairy wood and the
yes,
hawthorn.
yeah,
I love that.
yeah. And that I was just going to say, like in the fairy circle, there's a tree in the center of the fairy circle, and um, it's an apple tree. It's an old apple tree. Like all the trees except for the birch here are old, so all the fruit trees. And anyway, so this old apple tree sits in the center of the fairy circle, and she is to me, of course, she's a she. She to me is like the fairy queen. So
Mm.
she sort of presides over the fairy circle, over the fairy wood, and I feel like she's like a portal. So
Mm.
whenever I go in there, I touch her. If I want to do some sort of magical work, I'll touch her, and for her to sort of bring me into the other realm. So I don't do that often. I want to do it more. I just I have such a vision for those woods, and I'm slowly working on it, but it seems to be taking me forever to get there. So I don't go in there often to do that, but when I do, she's the first thing I'll touch, and first thing the first being I'll acknowledge when I walk in there. Um, and then I'll go into the hawthorn grove because the hawthorn trees are sacred, but to me, the trees are sacred, but to me, I feel like this is going to all sound fanciful, but I feel like after I've talked to the fairy queen tree, then when I go into the hawthorn grove, I'm able to perceive the energy of the fair folk within the hawthorn grove better. I don't see them yet. I'm going to someday, but I don't see them yet. But I feel like she kind of opens up my senses because I ask her to, so that I can perceive the energy within the hawthorn grove better and within the woods better.
Hmm. I think, you know, it's almost more essential to feel and perceive than it is to actually visually
Mm-hmm.
see. I think that, we want to visually see
Yeah,
because, that's our world is visual.
yeah,
And no doubt you will, but I think, you're doing what you need to do. It's almost like those steps
yeah,
to enlightenment, I guess you would say.
yeah.
But what advice would you give for people who, they want to perceive the spirits of the land, they want to work with the fae? What recommendation would you give for other people?
It's like we said at the beginning. I think you really have to embrace the whimsical in within you, that childlike wonder.
Hmm.
That was something when Katie met me. We went to Point Pleasant Park, which is a park within the city, and I was just in there like touching trees and oh my god, look, there's a butterfly, and oh, look at the seagull, and because that's how I view the world. I'm always in awe and wonderment and seeing things um, with almost like childlike eyes. I just that's just who I am. I'm very kind of childlike when it comes to seeing
Mm,
things. And I think in adulthood you just become so
mm,
you have so much layers of responsibility
mhm,
and secular stuff that
mm.
you kind of have to chisel away at that, or not even chisel away, just say fuck
Just
that.
suspend it.
Yeah, just say
Yeah,
fuck it for a little while, and
yeah.
just say I'm not going to let my brain go to such um, a hard view of such a human perspective. Look at the world from a child or perspective, or pretend you yourself are fair folk. you know it's okay to pretend, because if that opens up your mind and your heart and your third eye even, go for it. Just pretend you're a fairy. It's okay.
I love that, like skip and sing and dance around the
Yeah,
trees.
yeah.
I just wanted to ask if you don't mind. When Alicia was little, did you share that with her? Like, did you
Oh
try to
yeah.
get her to open her eyes and see, or did that come naturally to her?
She was like a blend of Tom and I, but I feel like she went more towards Tom sometimes, where with that scientific mind.
Mm, mm-hmm,
Like that. She took sciences in university. Like
mm-hmm,
she wanted to be a physicist at one point, and I said to her, I said, "Oh, you know what? You're going to discover God you're in university." And
mm.
she just kind of rolled her eyes at me. But but she was very whimsical. She played video games that were very kind of fantasy like. So
Mm.
she had that aspect of it.
And she loved animals.
So she loved animals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a connection right there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she had, like, she was near the end of her life. She was exploring like witchcraft a little bit. So yeah, I think she would have probably, yeah.
She would have
So
come to it. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, but I definitely exposed her to all that stuff,
Yeah.
because I can't help myself.
Yeah.
That's who I am. So
Well, it just, reminds me when we were young and,
yeah,
we always played in the woods and
yeah,
we didn't m- maybe have the words for it, but I think that we were communing with the the spirits where we were and
yeah,
just, dancing and playing and
yeah,
everything was oh, but I saw more of that through you than through my brothers and sisters, right?
yeah,
Because you were always like, let's go outside and let's play in the woods and
yeah,
you know
yeah,
the moss was a wonder, how
yeah,
soft the moss is and
yeah.
just all those kinds of things and building our little forts and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that's one of the steps I would say is just a look for joy. Because I think if you're looking for joy and playfulness, you're opening up um, your
Mm.
your spiritual vision
Mhm.
when you're if you're just miserable and cranky,
Mhm.
and we all have that,
Yeah.
but you're probably not going to see it, although I was gassing up a car and I saw, and gassing up a car always makes me cranky. So I don't, I don't know. I don't know why, but generally speaking, I think if you want to commune with nature, the nature spirits, the fair folk, I think that's a big thing. Just set aside your heart and your hard mind, and just, yeah, just,
And please don't pay attention to the gatekeepers. Oh my
yes,
goodness. You have to do this, you have to do that, don't do this, don't do that. For me, as long as things are done with reverence
yeah,
and, keeping in mind, the sacredness of things, but it's the whimsy is so important. Like Trish said, like having that childlike openness
yeah.
and not being I mean, I'm a skeptic by nature. Like I
Hmm.
don't always believe just because someone says something is
Yeah,
I need to feel it. So that's what I would want people to do is to go wherever you have a green space, whether it's your own space or a park or wherever you can feel close to nature at the beach, just, open up your heart and your mind and just breathe it all in, and just be you in that space and not worry about TikTok or Instagram or
Yeah.
whatever is
Yeah.
telling you to do. Like, I really find it's too much now. And
Oh, yeah.
well, I know you did too, because you took a little break.
Yeah.
But there's just so much gatekeeping and so much posing.
Yeah.
And, we all start from somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's all bad. It's just I want people to discover it on their own and
Hmm.
feel it like
Yeah.
in their own heart.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like when I was setting this up, I was like, it just felt good to set this up. And I
Mm.
forgot to light my little candle there. Um, well, I'm going to do that now, even though we're probably close to the end. But whatever.
Oh,
Um, yeah.
that is just the sweetest little bell.
Isn't it cute?
It's lovely.
And it's because it doesn't have a ball at the end of the thing.
Oh, oh my goodness. Yeah, it's just the
It's
the wire.
just the wire.
Wow. And it doubles as a can opener too, because I like practical. That's a can opener.
I didn't even notice. Oh my god, that's
See,
hilarious.
Suzy loves whimsy and practicality all
Yeah,
in one.
yeah, I got that at the Value Village, and I picked it up, and I was like, oh, it doesn't have a ball on it. But then I rang it, I was like, perfect.
It is. It's
Yeah.
very nice. Yeah.
So,
Very whimsical.
yeah. So when I was setting this up, I was like, it just felt good because visuals are important too to open up
Absolutely.
your spirit and your mind to the other world, and that's what I felt like this was doing. So I understand why people are drawn to a lot of stuff on social media that's
Mm-hmm.
all so visual, and like you said, you
Mm-hmm.
got to start somewheres.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what's the other thing I was going to say? And you can fake it until you make it too,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Absolutely.
another thing. So even if you're not feeling it, you're not believing it quite yet, um, you can put out offerings, um, and just say, I don't know if you're here. I don't know, but um, I'm leaving an offering because I would like to have a relationship. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a big thing, is having a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And although I don't necessarily um, see them or had any sort of encounter with the fair folk in our woods, I still feel like there's a relationship. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's this sort of vague relationship from their part right now. It's like, okay, yeah, we see you, we respect you. Let's just see where this goes, kind of thing.
Well, time is different for them,
That's
right?
true.
So, we're just like, come on, hurry up. And they're just like the Ents in Lord of the Rings, the Ent trees.
Yeah,
They talk
yeah,
very slowly. And they,
yeah,
they're just like, there's no rush for anything.
yeah,
No, we gotta go.
yeah,
So yeah, that's the human world, is we want to see, we want to feel, and we want those results.
yeah,
Like, I've
yeah,
done this, I've made this beautiful yard, and I've
yeah,
put this out for you,
yeah,
but it's,
yeah,
be patient, little one, be patient.
yeah,
But I love that story about your grandmother tree. I'm gonna keep that one in my heart. That makes me so happy.
yeah,
Because every time in my yard, when I'm pulling something to make room for something else, or I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry. And Jamie's like, "Hon, we gotta cut down that tree, because if it falls on the house or on the neighbor's house." And my heart just aches, but I
yeah,
know he's right,
yeah,
and the tree understands.
yeah,
They know that, like, they perceive things differently than we do. They know what their purpose is, and their energy lives on anyway. It's still in the root system and all of that.
hmm,
But oh, it's so hard for me to say
yeah,
goodbye to a tree. Now,
yeah,
we did take the one out in front. I planted it myself, so it wasn't like native to the house or the land or anything. And it just got so big and overgrown, and you could not see our house from the road, which was fine by me. But Jamie said, "No, hon, like we got to cut that tree." So we did cut down a tree.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, we did too. We had a tree that was about to fall on the garage, and one of the guys that works up the road, he stopped while we were outside, and he said, he was a tree cutter, and um, he was doing a job for the guy up the road, and he said, I saw that tree, and he said, from experience, you don't have to, but I think that tree needs to come down. And we were like, yeah, I hate it. It was a big, huge white pine, but it was it was like this.
Mm.
So but I gave the tree warning. I said,
Mhm.
buddy's coming. I said, send your energy into the
Mhm.
root system,
Yeah.
and it's going to happen on on this day. I'm really, really sorry. And that garage
Yeah.
is old, and part of me was like, what if
Tree, garage, that's
yeah,
what I'm living
I was
for.
like, even if it fell in the garage, maybe I'd have insurance and would get a new garage out of it. But we also have the car there, so
Yes. It's all part of existing and living together. There's
yeah,
always going to be death and rebirth, and
yeah. So anyway,
it's a cycle.
yeah. So how do you work with the fair folk yourself? Like, do you ask for help from them? Do you do
I
anything?
asked for help with my cats. So
Oh,
um, when we had Casper and he was deaf, he didn't start out deaf, but he became deaf. He was a white cat. Um, and he would go walk about or whatever. I would ask the trees and the fae to please bring Casper home.
mm,
So he couldn't hear me, but you know, whether they could guide him or how I would say it was send your feelers on your roots and bring him home along the roots.
mm,
And then, for the fae to protect and help
yeah.
guide too. Because they work easily, I think, with animals
Mm-hmm.
than with people.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't normally ask for things for myself,
Yeah.
but I ask for protection
Yeah.
over my home and protection over my cats and you know all the creatures because I don't wish anything harm. Even the earwigs, I have
Mm-hmm.
learned to live with earwigs and
Yeah.
silverfish and
Yeah.
those creepy little things.
Yeah.
But it's a coexistence,
Yeah.
and I think that I mean, my cats always came home,
Yeah.
and Vinny doesn't go far because he's so ancient now, and Bootsy is just so food motivated that he's never far.
Yeah.
He's hooked on catnip, so he knows if he comes home, he gets catnip as his reward.
Okay.
So he's actually his curfew is 5 or 5:30, and he's actually waiting for me now.
Oh,
I don't even sometimes have to call him because
that's
he's already
hilarious.
waiting. But yeah, that's mostly how I work with them is that I ask for protection, for blessing, and in return, I do my best not to disturb or not to, um, you know, be an a hole or anything
Yeah. Yeah.
to them. It's just a reverence, I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
and I feel it like when I sit in my backyard and I'm surrounded by trees, and I feel that peace and I feel that comfort, and it does something for me.
Yeah.
So I think it has to be a give and take always.
I totally agree with that. And that's basically how I work with them too. Um, I just when I'm in my woods, I'm usually working in there. Um, I'm like I say, I'll talk to them and say I'm just making the woods better for all
Mm.
of us, getting rid of the invasive species so that
Mm-hmm.
biodiversity can happen better in those woods for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I said I'm trying to protect you, and I'm just asking for protection back. Watch over the house, watch over
Mm-hmm.
the land, watch over all that lives within the land. And I do have such a biodiverse land, um, with birds. Like, I have so many different species of birds
Mm.
on this property. it just blows my mind sometimes.
Mm.
Um, and we have fox, we have coyotes, we have um, rabbits, we have all kinds of these different critters that just live on this little 2-acre property.
What about the owl? What was the story with the owl?
Oh, the owl. The Kitty and I were walking. We were going for a walk, and it was in the fall, so it was starting to get like dusk on our walk. So we were just up the road here, and this owl. I heard a flutter of wings behind me,
Mm.
and I was like, "Is that a crow?" But he just sort of flew. I think it was a she, but I don't know.
Mm.
She or he flew, um, and it was so close that I could hear the wings,
Mm.
and she flew up to a tree, probably maybe like close to this tree, and I was like, "Katie, it's an owl," and she had that beautiful brown flat
Mm.
face, and she stood on the branch, she perched on the branch, and was staring at me like, oh, like I was like,
Are
uh,
you looking at me?
she was just like staring like this, kind of like this. And oh, like, okay. I hope she's not like wanting to attack, because I know owls can be sometimes they can be aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't. After I was just kind of standing there and talking to her, and she was just staring at me, and I was like, okay, gotta go now, because I'm not sure what this is all about. Um, but and then we just kept walking, and then yeah, she flew off, but she was
Mm.
so close, and just staring at me.
Mm.
So I looked it up, and about owls and wisdom and goddesses that were related to owls and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and I just felt like it was a message. It was a land spirit message.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was so taken by that, like, because owls are big in Norse tradition as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I ordered this necklace from
Oh,
Etsy in honor of that particular encounter.
amazing.
And I had a dream shortly after Alicia passed away that Alicia came back as an owl. In my
Mm.
dream, she was like this beautiful, almost like a snowy owl, this the
Mm.
white owls, but she had specks of gold in her, like
Mm.
actual shimmering gold in her.
Oh,
But I
wow.
knew it was Alicia in owl form. But I had,
Mm.
you know, I thought that was a beautiful dream, but I just, but
Mm-hmm.
anyway. So yeah, that was the owl encounter.
Mm.
Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah,
Yeah. Because there's that superstition that if an owl hoots 3 times outside your window, that's a death.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when I looked it up, it was like, oh, if you see an owl during the day, and it was kind of during the day, it's like a death omen. And I was like, okay, no, I don't believe.
Everything's a death omen. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, yeah, you can interpret things many ways.
yeah,
It's what it makes you feel. And
yeah,
again, like I say, fear and superstition have no place in my reality. So I
yeah,
try not to pay attention to those kinds of things.
yeah,
But I think that, in nature, there's always, you know, the dark and the light and
yeah,
the challenge and the warnings and all of those things are there if that's what you want to see.
yeah,
But, I mean, some people, they just like oh, I found a feather. That's a sign from a loved one. Like
yeah,
if you want to see the light and fluffy,
yeah,
I think that's fine too.
yeah,
But I know that you like that balance of
yeah.
light and dark.
Yeah, to me, that owl was a message from the land spirits, from goddess. I don't know exactly what the message was, other than I see you. Do
Mm,
you know what I mean?
I do. I
Yeah,
like that
yeah,
because that's acknowledgement.
yeah. And that's what it felt like. And when I actually
Yeah.
looked it up in the Norse tradition, um, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's the Furgas, or they are. not necessarily guardians, they are just spirits that hang around you and watch you.
Mm.
They just sort of see you, and
Mm.
they don't necessarily interfere with your life. They just are drawn to you and want to
Mm.
watch you,
Wow, that's
like
interesting. Yeah,
stalkers.
you have your own stalkers. Oh. No, that's kind of cool. I like
Yeah.
that. That's awesome. Yeah, so, an hour passes so quickly when we're talking about
It has,
stuff.
oh, yeah, I guess. Yeah, we tend to stop at the hour
I
mark,
know
don't we?
we're pretty good. We've
Yeah.
got that good sense of timing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a subject that can be interwoven into a lot of our conversations. And
Yeah.
I think, we both feel that connection. So again, the land and the animals and the fae are all just
Yeah.
part of it for me, part of how I feel connected to
Eh,
nature. But I would like maybe some other time to talk more about portals, and
yes.
maybe closer to Samhain we can do
Oh, yeah.
something like that, right? Like
Yeah.
when the veil is thin and you can walk between, like the liminal. I love the liminal.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
The
So
hedge.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
the
So
hedge.
we'll shelve that for, I
Yeah.
think, another conversation.
And I just want to end too on we're also part of nature. We are animals
Mm.
too,
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's also something to remember when you're trying to commune with the land spirits and the fair folk, that we too are nature,
Mm-hmm.
and we too are fair folk in a different way, you know?
Mm. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to acknowledge, because it's been a bit of time between our last podcast and this one, but I had a lot of really favorable reviews from our last podcast. People that reached out to me and said, thank you for that information on
Oh,
talking
really?
about, yeah.
Okay. I I didn't. So I was like, maybe I overshared.
No,
Maybe
no,
we.
people loved it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and I really enjoyed it too. I think it was one of our more fun
Yeah.
episodes that we had. But yeah, definitely thank you for sharing. And I just wanted to pass that along, that
Okay.
some people had reached out to me to say thank you for that episode.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah,
Bye.
thanks everybody.
Bye.
Hope to see you soon.